Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for subscribing to all three channels, having that little bell clicked. And over here we see, here we go again. This is another fertilizer plant, and this time it's Bartlett, Texas. How many of these have burned to the ground? I don't think we could count that high.
No, I mean, it's just sort of seems to be what they're doing for a hobby lately.
Yeah, again, anything that has to do with food or energy. Then we have this. Now, I've seen it anywhere from a 5.0 to a 5.5 with different sources. This was a quake, and this is Ojai, California, Ventura County. You could see the truck shaking. We were just talking to one of our family members a little bit away from there, didn't notice anything, but others did. And there is quite a swarm going on right now. If we circle into this area, you can see there's 111 quakes. So out of 318 on the planet of varying degrees, 111 are right in this area. So that's a pretty good sized swarm. As you can see, just north of Oxnard and just east of Santa Barbara. It's been pretty apparent that Cascadia and the San Andreas have been locked up for a long time. So, it's one of those things where we just prepare as best we can. Now, this is a Lana Del Rey concert, and I've never heard her sing, again. I don't keep up with anybody nowadays. I'm one of those old fuddy-duddies that, the music was better in our day. Yeah, There are some amazing musicians out there, but anything pop culture to me it just doesn't appeal. This is curious, though. I don't know if you noticed that. There was like this wave of energy that went out through the crowd, and it caused a lot of people to fall down. If you watch there, you can see it's like dominoes falling and spreading out, coming towards us, mostly in this one direction. When you see it from the ground, it's just more apparent. And it just is like they're hit by something. Now, was it just simply, mosh pits get crazy? It doesn't look like this is really a mosh pit. They're just standing there, and then boom, they all go flying down, just tumbling down. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, directed energy weapons of all different sorts are a reality.
And one of their favorite places to test them are with very large groups of people who are unsuspecting to see how well they work. And we did cover one of these maybe a year ago at a concert, and people were they were dazed, they were sick. I don't know. I think there were some people that didn't make it, and this is what they do.
8 people died, and I was just looking at that situation. That was the Travis Scott concert. Again, not somebody I've ever listened to. In Texas, 8 people did die. When you look at what's out there in the news, I didn't see anything of a CONS piracy really up in the top feed. It's like that whole concept is washed away. It's just simply what people were trampled to death. That's what they say. People were trampled to death, and that's it. But, there were a lot of people that were talking about this same sort of phenomena, that it was something, perhaps directed energy. Wikipedia has it right there. Directed energy weapon. It's a ranged weapon that damages its target with a highly focused energy without a solid projectile. This includes lasers, microwaves, particle beams, and sound beams. Again, how were the pyramids constructed? Many think it was with sound.
Right? Sound. And they are basically what they were there for is they're healing entities, and they also help bring balance. So there's so much more to the pyramids than what they taught us in school is they put them together with chisels and hammers. Every time I see that, it's just I laugh nowadays.
So this tells you they're all coming online in the mid to late 2020s. Well, over here we see 2014 Ferguson protest, a sonic directed energy weapon, LRAD, was deployed in a civilian context. Yeah, absolutely. They're already being used. And then you have China, France, Germany, UK, Russia, India, Pakistan, Turkey, all claiming to be making these weapons. And it gets into some interesting, examples of them. So here you go. I mean, it's right on Wikipedia, and again, then they'll give you a Wikipedia saying this was context. There you go. Some context. The domino effect of crowd movement is very common for concerts and gigs. Why don't they have a context? A directed energy weapon could do just this.
Indeed.
Because it's right there. There's a Wikipedia for it. All these different, Thor, a series of directed energy countermeasures targeting small, cheap drones. There's all sorts of different ones. We know about, there's the long-range acoustic device. Oh, yeah. They could put out frequencies, so, how your dogs will cry when they hear a high whistle. They can make your ears bleed.
Yes, they can.
14 U.S. cities sign a few treaty to ban meat, dairy, private cars by 2030. 2030, we won't recognize the world. It's going to be totally different. And, here we are. We're heading towards 2024. Oh, 2024 is the year of undoing, really. That's how I would categorize it, the year of undoing.
I would categorize it like that too. I mean, it's about dismantling. It's about getting us ready for change, getting us used to change. And one thing that I have been seeing and feeling lately is all of this that's going on is in preparation to get people used to being in their home and getting them used to not being able to go anywhere. And that's just, it's been slow and steady. And I haven't seen one time where we ever get any of our rights back. And they continually say, oh, don't worry, so-and-so is in charge. Everything's going to be okay. We have a hero. We have a savior. No. We have got to stand on our own too. We really need to be prepared for them and what they're doing. And then, push back to a point where it's not comfortable for them to just keep laying out these laws, just keep laying out these treaties. We have no voice right now. We're not using it.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, there's a list of cities that are on this. And this will be no meat consumption, no dairy consumption, 3 new clothing items per person per year, no private vehicles owned, and 1 short haul return flight less than 1,500 kilometers every 3 years per person. By 2035, there are no human flights on the planet, period. And this is because the reality is the power structure that has been running things from the shadows will be here physically in the open. And so everything is totally going to be revealed. Really, by 2035, they end up showing up again. Those that have watched our videos on the channeling from the Star Children from 2055, and our guides have also given us info where they are allowed to on this. So, here you go. It's Austin, Boston, Chicago, Houston, LA, Miami, New Orleans, New York City, Philly, Phoenix, Portland, San Fran, Washington, Seattle. All those are already on board with this. So, what you're seeing come through in legislation is all about this. And this from Bloomberg. Climate mayors and C40 cities provide U.S. cities with guidebook to implement historic Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, this Inflation Reduction Act is really, again, it's one of their bigger steps in changing the system to where freedom of movement doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all. And people will be locked down in their own little smart cities. This is what, they have in store. You will be told what to eat. You will be told what to wear. You will, again, you're not going to own anything. And you won't own your home. This is all part of their plans. And this is from the few. And this is the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, a net zero carbon future for cities. Yeah, here we go. Meanwhile, it's getting pretty obvious there's not going to be a lot of pilots around in the future as well, as we have five pilots this week collapsing, 3 of them no longer with us during the flights. This is, again, I know I had said at some point in time you're going to see a lot of planes dropping out of the sky. And I think we are heading closer and closer to that time.
And, none of these controllers, they're not worried about anything because they know that they're going to be taken care of. And you look at good old Musk there. I mean, he has a nice big grin on his face like he's concerned about that. It's always good cop, bad cop. But in reality, when it comes to the controllers, there is no good cop. We have to be our own cop.
Yeah, the population is collapsing. The population is declining, as you can see all these stats. Japan had its largest total drop in population since '68. U.S. population flatlining as birth rate stagnates. If it wasn't for all the people crossing the border, we would be going in reverse. China's fertility rate hits record low. Singapore's birth rate falls to record low. UK bursts 20-year low. Italy's birth rate drops historic low. And South Korea breaks the world's lowest fertility rate yet again. Again, it's a byproduct of our lifestyle. For many, many of the reasons are simply we drink from plastics, things like that. All the Wi-Fi, all the signals, the EMFs, the GMO foods, and then the whole system of taking care of one's health, so to speak. And meanwhile, we see more and more places, as you look at Spokane County, Washington, is under a state of emergency. More places look just like what we saw over in Hawaii. You still have trees up, but you got cars that are melted. This makes no sense at all, none at all, unless you're talking about what we were talking about earlier. And you have all these fires pop up at one particular time. Yeah, it's not natural. There's a lot of artificial flavoring going on here. And here we have Chinese state media and Russia talking about how horrible a job the U.S. is doing taking care of Hawaiians. Well, I'm sure that will be part of what they give to us as logic when they take Hawaii and Alaska back and take maybe California and the West Coast as well after the war. So here you go. This is breaking State Department issues. The following statement: U.S. citizens in Belarus should depart immediately. Consider departing via the remaining border crossings with Lithuania and Latvia or by plane. U.S. citizens not permitted to enter Poland overland from Belarus do not travel to Russia or Ukraine. Because, as we've been saying for months, that the next part of this is expansion into Belarus, Poland, probably Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, the Baltic nations, as this is about to expand. And when will it expand? Well, it feels like it could expand today, tomorrow, anytime. Because there's still a lot ahead as far as, what they have in store with the war. And here you have footage showing Iranian drones and speedboats swarming a U.S. warship. Chilling clash in the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to go hot. It could go hot any time. They're watching other things. It's a coordinated series of events. China's farming push is all about war. They need to be self-sufficient. Don't forget, the Chinese general back in 2005 said they needed to have either Australia, Canada, the U.S., or all three as their own farmland in order to provide for their people, or they would have to have half the population. And meanwhile, they're constantly giving us new actors, clones, body doubles, whatever, as if we can't tell there's a difference between Fetterman on the left and Fetterman on the right. The different Biden clones, actors, it's just, it's now to a different point. It's almost like they are. It's like when they give us these terms. We're laser focused. Canadian official and Biden saying that. Meanwhile, all the talk of Jews and lasers, yeah, it's a double middle finger. It's like, yeah, it's happening, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Is kind of what they're saying.
Yeah, and really they don't mind one bit. It doesn't bother them to do all of this, and they're gonna keep going too, as long as we allow it, and as long as we're not getting prepared and making plans. They're just gonna move forward. It's like they've taken the bull by the horns, and they really don't, they really don't mind what happens to anyone else. It's all about a means to an end. So whatever that means looks like, it's okay because it's reaching their agenda.
We'll do more on this, but the WF declared, "We are gods. If you stand in our way, well, it's not going to be good." And there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Again, what's the term gods? Well, when the Anunnaki tried to communicate through Cindy to us to basically tell us that they see what we're doing, and they announce themselves as, "We are the gods of your Old Testament," and yeah, they're the Abrahamic tradition. They are the gods, plural, because originally, it is in the plural. As so many people know nowadays, the original term was not Lord. It was not even Yahweh. It was Elohim, just simply mighty ones. And yeah, when you make that term gods, you're just talking about advanced beings with what looks to be superpowers. You're not talking about the creator of this universe. And again, they'll say, well, they're constantly controlling and manufacturing the weather. So, in that sense, they're making the declarations that we are the gods of the weather. And, you could look to the book of Jericho, right? Blast your horn and the walls come down. Think about what we just saw with the crowds and the crowds, falling down. Sure, the advanced weaponry was there then, and it was used then. And even though you might have what feels like tribes that are not very, very advanced waging war against each other, as you had the Israelites invade the Canaanites' territory and take over and exterminate the people that were already there. And, they blew the horn and the walls came down. So we're talking about directed energy weapons. We're talking about sonic weapons. Just re-look at the Bible from the sense of extraterrestrials, and it all makes perfect sense. And the Lord sent a plague, and then 70,000 people died overnight because of the strange clouds. It all makes sense. Now, these people that are in apparent control here on the planet, they're promised godhood. They're promised technology that will age regress them, life extension. Don't worry. If you need a new heart, we got one. We got you covered. Whatever it is, we'll keep you living indefinitely. But the reality is just the opposite. They're giving up their source spark and feeding it to AI. And again, this all really deserves like a 40-minute video or so, all to its own. But many people are very aware that it's all been right there. Mountain Dew pitch black when the grid goes out, Baja blast, Maui blast, again, code red, severe risk of terrorist attacks, again, or World War III. Mountain Dew, Typhoon Dew, it's all right there. It's all right there in front of us. The Simpsons have been talking about this for years. They've shown Dew wiping out, Simpsonville or wherever it is where they are. It's all right in front of our faces all this time. It's all been given to us, and they've let us know what they're doing, and somehow we acquiesce. Well, every time we vote, we're saying, I choose to take part in the system. So, that's a big revelation. Now, something just like this was seen in another location This person saw this on Baxter Boulevard in Portland, Maine on the 20th of this year, 3:39 p.m. Eastern Time, morphing, maybe just a drone, maybe some of our tech, maybe some of somebody else's tech.
I saw another one of these that was similar, and what's really striking me, the curiosity about it is I'm not feeling anything. So I feel like there's some sort of a cloaking technology, and when I don't feel something, that means something. That means that they're doing things that we are not privy to or we have not been shown. But I do feel like that is a little bit of our technology and a little bit of someone else's.
Yeah, and this one is in Fairfield, Connecticut. Multiple UFOs accidentally caught on drone footage. Yeah, we've caught so many ourselves. I often, when I was in the desert, I just had this feeling I should be, filming the sky, and then we'd find, shining silver orb, one after another, and things that were different, strange shapes coming through. They've always been here. This has always, always, always been here. Again, they were always trying to put it off as demons and devils or your imagination or, anything that it isn't, basically. As you got people now with telescopes getting pretty interesting photos. Again, some people think that we live in a dome and, in a way, I mean, again, we live in a cell. The entire planet is just a cell. Cells have permeable membranes, but yet they hold the form. So yeah, things can come and go. Other intelligences from other places come here all the time, and beings from here leave as well. And we can leave our body when we're trained enough and go and project our consciousness out off planet. And again, CIA, the FBI, the KGB, they've all done this. MI6, they've all trained for this as well. Space is not what it appears to be. It's not empty and lifeless. It's not a vacuum. In fact, it is more like an in-between an ocean and our atmosphere that we ourselves are breathing.
I love that they never seem to tire of rewriting the school books for the education that they send us to. I mean, they rewrite them over and over and over. And I'm looking at these videos that Micah is showing, and yeah, there is stuff going on up there that we can't see. And so many times when pieces mysteriously fall to the ground, that's because there is a war that we cannot see, and that is ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some people, nature is just totally unafraid of. And we shouldn't ever judge books by its cover. And you can see the animals trust him totally. Totally. And they're just coming right to him. And they're grateful for what he's sharing. And again, we can also judge the people we interact with, too, to a degree, when we see how animals react to them. That's a big giveaway. Whenever we have anybody come and, is dropping something off or working on something, like a technician, and the dogs, they either are drawn to them or they're not drawn to them. It's a good way to get a feel, because the natural world sees more than the outer shell. They're reading the energy of the person. They could sense the intent. And this is where we are all going right now.
And, and when animals do react differently or not favorably, it doesn't always mean that person might be bad. I mean, many times dogs can pick up a broken heart chakra. They can pick up injuries on the body. They can pick up little attachments. I know Sita is one. She can see like little things come out of people. So if we're talking with someone and suddenly she barks, well, she saw something come out of that person. So right now she is so sweet and innocent. She can't tell the difference between her third eye and her two eyes. To her, it's all the same.
And that's the thing to realize too. You might be just fine, but then you go shopping and you pick up a parasite, just like we are always exposed to different bacteria all day long. You can pick up an energetic parasite just simply by standing next to somebody in line that maybe, they did something that was lowering their frequency. Maybe they went on a bender last night. Maybe they had a horrible fight. And energetically, something is jumping onto you, and then the animals are being a little standoffish.
Yeah.
And again, it could be just as simple as doing some mantras, doing some meditation, doing some qigong, taking a walk out in nature, getting away from technology. Often that's all we need to do, and we'll be back to our rooted and grounded self.
Indeed.
As always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.